Musings, welcome back to the channel. This is your January 2024 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, then this reading might resonate for the month ahead. It's Romy. Thank you so much for joining me, taking the time to tune into the channel. So we're opening up your month ahead with the Hierophant. Now, if it's even possible, you do move into the new year even more sensitive to the energy around you than usual. And I think sometimes, Capricorn season can feel a little bit harsh for you. But actually, I think you're going to welcome the structure and the direction that lands fairly early on in the month. We'll see Mercury station direct on the 2nd, so we get to clear up perhaps some of the miscommunication that took place over the holidays. And on the 4th, we've got this really welcome shift of Mars moving into Capricorn. Now, what that does for us is it brings about a realism, and, it sort of softens some of the impulsiveness that Mars can bring, and it gives us direction. We certainly have questions about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and I think that's going to be super supportive for you early on in the month, especially with the Hierophant, because what we're looking at is, what do I want to commit to? What do I want to devote to? And, you are setting up a precedence, through the early part of January as to, the type of experience you want to have through this year. And I think, over and above how Mars is going to be influencing some of the ways that you think, the important questions you're going to be asking yourself is, what is it worth to me? What will it take? And what will it change? And I think if you can be super honest in your reflection, if you are in the mood to set goals, or you're in the mood to honestly just take a little bit more time to acclimatize yourself to what you feel is the frequency and the vibe for you at this early time in the new year. But the Hierophant comes in and, brings this opportunity for learning and for thoughtful consideration. And I think, again, bringing that structure to your thoughts is also going to be helpful so that you don't kind of feel too overwhelmed at, where you now stand. And it may feel to you that, there are some important things missing. There's something that perhaps had to be let go of or released or was removed from your life in 23. And you're embarking on this new year with a whole different consideration of what is this now going to feel like now that this is no longer part of my life. The thing we need to remember is that the more we are willing to let go and surrender to the experience, whether it has been wanted or it has happened to us, we always create space for something to flow towards us. And it isn't necessarily going to be a carbon copy. Can it ever be? Perhaps not for many of you. But it can certainly help to shape a new type of experience and bring about a different energy. And I think there's a part of you that is ready for some fresh experiences, even if it's just about helping you to process, to heal, or to navigate the ways in which you want to move forward. Okay. We will move towards a new moon in Capricorn on the 11th, coming in at 20 degrees. And there's some interesting conversations with Neptune and Uranus happening around that new moon, which invites a sense of freedom. And it's also a kind of transcendent experience. Now, we've got the Hanged Man here, which of course does link into Neptune, and of course to your sign as your ruler, and we still have Neptune in Pisces. So I think that new moon's going to be super interesting for you. It's a mix, I think, for Pisces in January of hustle and hibernation. And we sort of need to be all in with both. But you're the one that dictates, at what points through the month you are energized and ready to be able to kind of step up and engage in where there is work to do, and also to when you super need to listen and it's like, okay, I need to have that step back. I quite like the Hanged Man because I think it does give us this powerful pause, and I feel like there's in January a blind spot that's going to be made aware to you. I think the universe is going to draw your attention to it. And so I think part of the reason that that Hanged Man is showing up is because of this blind spot. And you need to be aware of it. Like, it's something that we have to get a handle on, and we have to come to terms with, and we have to realize. And, you know, sometimes when it's so unexpected, because clearly we just haven't seen it, we haven't comprehended that that is a truth or a reality for us, then, you know, we do need to kind of assimilate and process that. And so that time that you're being given to help you to see something differently and to sort of support you through the process of kind of realizing what that blind spot is going to be super, super helpful. The other thing I think is that, you know, we know you can handle it, right? Whatever it is, we know you can because you're here. But does that mean that you should? So I also think that this is a month that you need to be prepared for giving out a succession of no's or not at this time. Because frankly, you know, there are important priorities for you. And again, this is why I'm saying, like, these questions of what is it worth to me? What will it take? What will it change? You know, both in what you want to pursue, but also when people come knocking on your door asking something of you. And this is really going to help ensure that the boundaries are there, but also that you don't get kind of dragged off into something, because, you know, there's an importance to this early time of the year, especially around that new moon, because, you know, some of the intentions and the new beginnings that we're sort of feeling into, you know, they have a weightiness in Capricorn. Now your Queen of Wands comes in and brings again this this passion, this focus, this rich creative desire, I think, again, to seek the freedom in regards to something. And if we look at the Hierophant and the Hanged Man, both in some ways can feel a little restrictive. They can feel like they're kind of holding us, you know, perhaps in suspended animation, or a bit of a holding pattern, or to a certain structure or a tradition, or, you know, in you know, the combination of the two is helping us to learn something and to discern something. That is absolutely clear. And yet, you know, the Queen of Wands, she just feels like she wants more freedom. She needs more freedom. And so again, that new moon gives us the structure, the direction, but also this opportunity to feel into, you know, what is it that I want right now for myself? And remember, the Capricorn season is 11th house for you. So there's this focus around themes of your community, the groups you're a part of, technology, but also this reminder of the hopes and dreams and aspirations that you have. Now, I think you will have a strong desire to connect with different people in January, to try out working with different people, or socializing, or communicating, or interacting with people. You might look at new platforms in terms of tech platforms, social media platforms. You're going to have plans that you don't want to be too rigid, but are much more instinctive, as you realize what it's going to take to support you achieving your outcomes. That's where the Queen of Wands is going to come in and be such a powerful advocate for how you want to experience this month, okay? And, you know, sometimes we can feel like we are missing a little confidence to do the things that we need to do. And again, in that instance, she's going to be supportive, but she's also encouraging you to focus on a state of presence, stillness, curiosity, readiness, openness, because all of these will lead you directly to what it is that you need to do, and to also be able to find that courage and confidence, which, by the way, as we make our way towards the Leo full moon, will be far easier to harness. We'll talk about that in a moment. Now, right after the new moon, we've got Juno, asteroid goddess, shifting retrograde in Virgo. She moved into the sign in October and having this extended stay. You know, I talked back then about the fact that when she goes retrograde, she's going to be highlighting a few problems and a few challenges that exist in the partnerships, the agreements, the marriages, the relationships that we have, you know, that being the areas that, you know, she's custodian of. And in Virgo, we can get, you know, quite harsh, quite critical, and we can notice absolutely everything. The point of this cycle is to help us to address things. Yeah, we need to address things. Now, as I talk about this and we've got Six of Wands, we need to be mindful our ego doesn't get in the way with that. And yet there's something about Six of Wands, it like coming out into the light. It needs to be brought into the light. It needs to be discussed. It needs to be brought out into the open. And what I want to say to you in regards to this is, through the month of January, it is all in the way that you ask the questions. Yeah, 100%. It's going to be about what you ask and how you ask it. Because, you know, what we can end up doing is creating almost like closed off or shutting down those interactions. Yeah, because we're almost seeking answers that are about how do we survive this rather than how do we thrive through this. And so you have to notice the subtlety of that. And I think, again, Virgo can be helpful because it will help you to sort of really pick up on the words that you're using, the thoughts that you're thinking. Okay, so keep that very firmly in your mind because you're going to be working with that energy over the next few weeks. I think through Capricorn season, there's a willingness and a desire to just face things. And this is an 8-year numerology wise, right? So it's about us developing our personal power. It's about us finding that balance between reward and achievement and self-mastery. But we also have this very kind of realistic and specific outlook. I like it because we also have a flood of like this new spiritual awareness, and our spiritual journeys has allowed us to transcend and evolve. And so we've got this very grounded, I'm going to face it, I'm not going to look away, I know what it's going to take. But we also have access to and enlightenment from the journey that we've taken through 23 spiritually speaking. So, you know, this is a powerful combination for those that are willing to kind of continue to do the work, but also realize that, you know, it's about consistently and continuously like coming back into the self and drawing on that spiritual understanding and that spiritual knowing. Now, your Six of Wands along with the Queen of Wands again tells me that this can actually be quite a powerful month for you, especially if you're trying to get something out there or something to be seen or recognized. And so particularly from a work perspective, even if you're revisiting things from the past and bringing them back around to remind people and put them back in front of people, I think that's also going to be a helpful thing for you to do, because it will also show you what you've achieved, what you've accomplished, how far you've come. Okay, Mercury's going to be in Capricorn from the 14th. So again, you know, that shift again helps us communication wise to be more deliberate, more intentional, more realistic in what we're asking of people and what we're setting out. And will also, by the way, help you with this whole succession of no's that I see you needing to ensure that you carry through on. Okay. We've got our High Priestess coming through here as well, because I think there is in January for you a deeper knowing and trust in the direction to which you're feeling drawn or compelled to move towards. And that feels very relevant and supported again by the experience that that Hanged Man perhaps brings about in the early part of January. So if you feel a little bit in the void, you know, and it can still be a little bit of a hangover energy in the first week or two, you will start to clear that after the new moon in Capricorn, and it will be replaced with much more of a sense of sureness within you. There's also something that I see you're meant to be taking care of. There's a custodian energy with High Priestess, something you need to protect and to look after. Maybe it's information, wisdom, maybe, you know, there's this rite of passage that you're on, like whatever that is, it will be deeply personal to you, but you'll understand the significance of it. Now, we also have this balance between public and private. Yeah, so to the degree that you want to share or you think something ought to be shared versus kept quiet or held in that, you know, safe sanctuary until the right time is also something that will be down to you, and you need to kind of really notice for yourself, you know, what feels the right thing to do at this moment in time, and then follow through with that. Okay. Now, when the sun shifts into Aquarius, we come into your 12th house from the 20th, and then the next day, of course, we've got Pluto coming into Aquarius, which will be a cycle that stays until the 2nd of September before a final soiree into Capricorn, and then fully in Aquarius from the 19th of November. So all of us will feel this shift. We had a prelude to it in 23. You know, what does it mean for you? How is it going to start affecting you personally? You know, what is it asking of you? Again, I think, you know, this is a month to sort of be asking a lot of questions of yourself and noticing in that state of profound presence. How am I responding? Because this is also a time to sort of ensure that, you're prospering through the changed emotional responses. Now we've got the energy of the Lovers coming through here. So you're looking for a match. When I say looking for a match, I don't mean necessarily romantic, although that absolutely could be, I know, your intention for many of you. But it's rather about just kind of seeking this vibrational resonance with something or someone, because it's there, and it's like sometimes when something comes into our energy field, and as a reader, if that's a path that you walk, you'll understand this, right? When you connect with a client, then you already see things that are in their energy field and they haven't shown up yet, but this is how we can start to tap into the predictive quality of things, because we can feel that energy. But you yourself, will have the ability to know and to trust. And I think that's the important thing, that there will be a marked change as you realize how much now you trust yourself in ways intuitively and instinctively, that's kind of gone to a whole nother level. So as you feel these things coming into your energy field, you know that there's a vibrational match to something on its way. And again, I think that's part of the reason why you need to be clear and concise about perhaps saying no, or putting certain things on hold, because you're aware of the emergence of this that's set to sort of come into your reality, whether it's in the month of January, which absolutely could be, or certainly in the not too distant future. Now let's talk about this full moon in Leo, because it comes in on the 25th at 5 degrees. There's a little bit of a challenge from Jupiter. So there's an incredibly loud and proud energy with this. Everything is amplified. There's definitely a lot of attention seeking. It's an incredibly powerful moon to get recognized and be seen and to put on a performance. And sometimes that's what we need to do. Yeah. Sometimes we need to be heard. We need to be seen. And, even where we, as I said, may feel like we're missing a little confidence, that Queen of Wands is kind of holding your hand and sort of helping you to navigate till you get to that full moon. And I think you've got a little Dutch courage around that time of the month to definitely say what needs to be said, to do what needs to be done, and to take that really bold action. Now, Uranus is going to be stationing direct just a couple of days later, and that progress requires a bold action and, perhaps something a bit surprising. So the whole end of January is powerful. And remember, Leo speaks from that heart, so it's a lot easier to kind of really put things on the line in that way. Of course, we know that people are going to be seeking the limelight, and egos, perhaps getting really activated around that time as well. And often is the case that, we know where people are sort of really on that bandwagon. They're rooted in insecurity, and it's like a compensation energy. So you might notice that a little bit with people around you, but, try to have the compassion to understand that, actually at the core of that, they're really lacking confidence. That said, I do think that it's a time for you to harness and really sort of use this towards something that you want to be recognized, or you want to be seen, or you want to be understood. Yeah. And what you're going to find around that time, we also have Venus in Capricorn coming 23rd, I think, of January. And so supporting us again in terms of like our sense of self-value and how we're showing up in terms of the relationships in our life. Like, we want commitment, we want more consideration of the future and what that looks like. And, the full moon can sort of bring about some big gestures as well. So, a lot happening to be able to kind of tap into. And you're going to have some strong desires that are going to be activated around that time. And, a reminder, how do you get what you want when you're not willing to ask for it? So, again, I think around that full moon, like, that's the time to ask, Pisces. Yeah, that's the time to ask. So Uranus stationing direct again will give us a little bit of a disruption in our rhythm and our flow. But But this overall, you know, this is a month and it's being set up in January where we are meant to move from panic to peace, where we understand that the losses we've experienced have become our greatest lessons. And, you know, Chinese astrology this year, we're moving into a dragon year, the Greenwood dragon. So this is all about movement and growth. So it's a very dynamic energy in 24. And of course, you're going to feel that from the get-go as you come into this month, okay? So remember these questions and how you ask them, because they're going to make all the difference. Now, if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we cover in my extended reading. Talk for another 30 minutes. I also look at a relationship card and a personal question for you for January. You can find the link for that in the comment and description box. It supports my work, helps me to continue doing the channel. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify these cards, see the messages that we will be addressing for you in that extended. So we've got Strength. 6 of Cups coming in here. All the decks I use are listed below. Beginnings and endings there. Ace of Cups, 10 of Swords. What about this Queen of Wands, 8 of Wands? Yes. Queen of Cups. I like this combination. You do have some like really fruitful conversations going on as well with somebody specific. Somebody who really, like, you really feel is like one of your soul fam. Like, that's how it feels to me, you know, whether there's a good friend, somebody you're working with, like a connection in your world. Remember, like, communication doesn't equal connection, you know, there's so much more, isn't there? All that non-verbal, the need to be present in someone's company, the need to see and feel and witness things. So it's not just about the words that are spoken, it's about the energy that sits all around it, within it. And you'll be seeking that. There's definitely a desire for this like more meaningful connection. Ooh, another Lovers and a Page of Cups. Interesting. Some of you have definitely got some big news and events, I think, being revealed around relationships. I would gather that's more likely to come in around that full moon Leo at the end of the month. Okay, let's have a look at some oracles for you. So this is Life Soul Vision, which is my own deck. Again, you find all my sacred titles on my website. Please take the time to check them out. Everything I do is geared towards supporting you in your spiritual path. Okay, we have Enlightened in the Exhale coming through for you. Golden Ribbons of Light. Maverick of the Light, Dancer of the Shadow. So our dragon energy. Mirrors of the Mind. Crown energy. Waves crash and stars fall. Sun. Spirit bear, beautiful. And another dragon, the rainbow dragon and the wild rose this time. Okay, let's have a look at a couple more oracle cards for Pisces for January 24. You know, this hustle and hibernation feeling could be a bit of a strange one for you through the month of January, but at the same time it will also really support you. We've got beautiful Goddess of the Moon coming in. It will really support you to kind of get done what needs to be done while still deeply honoring yourself this month. And we also have Resistance coming through. Okay, I am going to leave it there. I hope you'll join me to continue this cosmic conversation. Have a beautiful month of January. Be well. I can't wait to connect with you next month. I appreciate you. Take care, Pisces. Bye-bye.